This is a wedding photo, 2012, before I moved out here. This is Bobby.
Wow.
Oldest, second oldest, third oldest, the baby.
Robert Jones and his family moved to Pasco County, Florida in 2015 after their oldest son, Bobby, was kicked out of the neighboring school district for fighting. Soon, they were visited by the sheriff's Strategic Targeted Area Response, or STAR unit, which was created to, quote, hunt down prolific offenders. It was the first of many visits to come.
Pasco County Sheriff's Department wanted to come by and introduce the STAR team to my family. We heard about your son in the other county, and we want you guys to know that we'll be keeping an eye on you.
A few days later, deputies arrested Bobby, claiming they'd found sandwich bags with trace amounts of weed during their first visit. He was 15 at the time. Bobby was acquitted of the charges, but then the sheriff's office seemed to turn their focus to Robert.
They started coming every day, 3, 4, 5. They didn't even wait for me to come home. They'd come home early when my kids were home and bang on the windows and doors and, where's your dad at? Where's your brother at?
Robert says the STAR team started ticketing him for things like his grass being too high or his address being hard to see from the street.
Well, the numbers aren't very visible from the roadway because of the lights in the way. It has a 0 on it, but, but still, I think I can go with that because the lights in the way.
But then, he alleges, they'd hold on to the tickets and arrest him for failing to appear at his court date. Over 6 months, he was arrested 5 times. The arrests only stopped when he packed up his family and fled the county. Then last year, Robert found out he and his family weren't alone.
A recent investigation by the Tampa Bay Times revealed the Pasco County Sheriff's Office is listing more than 400 at-risk students as potential future criminals.
The Tampa Bay Times investigation found that the Pasco County Sheriff's Office has maintained a secret database of people they think are likely to break the law, calling it intelligence-led policing. The agency also uses information shared by the school district and Florida Department of Children and Families, like attendance records, grades, and details about students' home life. The data then is used to track, quote, juveniles who are at risk of becoming prolific offenders.
Oh, it's my son.
Calling him?
Yeah. Got my phone off the counter.
The lists have never been made public, but Robert assumes Bobby's name was added as soon as they moved to the county.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from
Robert Jones,
an inmate of Pinellas County Jail. To accept this call, press 0.
Hey, kid.
what up, boss?
First off, how you doing?
I'm doing alright, it's just same shit, different day.
Bobby is 21 now and in jail awaiting trial for an assault charge. I'm just wondering how you're doing and what's this experience been like for you in these last couple of years?
Life just got harder and harder and harder. Even though I was trying to do better as a person, they'd pull up to my school to harass me. They'd pull, it just was nonstop. It was like every day, multiple times a day.
Bobby, did the deputies ever say that they were ever going to try to help you?
Well, yeah, I would say the first day that I met them, that's what they said their intentions were. When they introduced themselves and said they'd be seeing me more, I didn't really understand what they meant. And as time went on, I realized what their true intentions were.
Robert is part of a lawsuit against Pasco County Sheriff Chris Nacco. All 4 plaintiffs are alleging harassment and claim the program violated their constitutional rights during search and seizures. Sheriff Nacco has denied the claims, defended the constitutionality of the ILP program, and moved to dismiss the case. The school district is also facing backlash for its part in the ILP program. This spring, a coalition of parents and national civil rights groups joined together to push the district to stop sharing information with the police indefinitely.
I had one student every day he wrote on a sticky, and I legit kept every single sticky.
And some of these things are over 6 years old.
They're
right?
over 6 years. They're over 10 years old. Some of these things.
Brittany Powell, a member of the coalition and former teacher in the school district, witnessed firsthand how detrimental the program has been for students. So when you were working in the Pasco County School District, what was your knowledge of this program, and did you even know that it existed when it came to your own students?
No, I didn't know that it existed when I was teaching. I've seen, students that were either LGBTQ, students of color, that were overly disciplined. I've seen that happen plenty of times where students that are technically good kids that just actually need a real chance, but they're being judged on who they are and where they came from and what their records say.
Spending your entire career mostly with kids, what effects have you seen on kids that are met or have contact with police at such a young age?
That's probably going to make me cry, because I've seen students feel less of themselves, feel like they can't make it because they already know how everyone else sees them. So I might as well live up to what everyone else's expectations of me are. After a while, that tears at you. All of those little cuts, they tear at you and they change who you are, to the point that sometimes students give up. I'm sorry. So that's why, even though I'm not there in the classroom, I can't stop fighting for them.
Superintendent Kurt Browning has said publicly that he was unaware the sheriff's office was using school data to identify students as future criminals. We tried to speak with him about these claims, but he denied our request for an interview. After months of pressure, the board did agree to stop sharing private data with school resource officers for now, without saying what's going to happen next school year. It wasn't enough to satisfy the coalition or to stop the U.S. Department of Education from investigating the district. Earlier this spring, they started looking into whether the school violated FERPA, a federal privacy law which prohibits students' records from being shared. The district said in a statement that all contracts with the sheriff's office include, quote, safeguards for the proper use of student information. But the national privacy groups in the coalition say those safeguards don't adequately protect students' rights, and the program itself is racist.
When parents or students have no idea whether they're on the list, you end up not being able to have due process, to be able to challenge the information that's being used to say that they are going to become prolific offenders. And even if the information is correct, we know that there is massive implicit bias. And so the data is likely skewed. It likely has many more Black and brown students than it does white students.
Can you talk about what some of those violations were in this program?
There is about 20,000 names sent from the school district to the sheriff's office. It sounds like on a routine basis. The minute that those 20,000 student names were sent over to the sheriff's office, that's a FERPA violation. Flat out.
The sheriff's office said NACO was unavailable for an interview, but sent a statement saying the prolific offender program does not use an algorithm to predict criminal behavior and, quote, only considers an individual's criminal history and does not use any additional factors. They also say that previous reporting conflated several unrelated issues, like probation checks and code enforcement issues, but that prolific offender checks are meant to provide people with resources. So tell me about this wall of faces. Who are we looking at here?
Current or former Pasco Sheriff's Office employees.
But former narcotics officer Chris Starnes says that's not what he saw during his 20 years with the agency. It says wall of shame.
This is mostly heads of departments and bureaus.
Mm-hmm. Do you still have a relationship with anybody here?
Not a single one. I've been completely ostracized from the entire agency. The first glimpse I got as a narcotics sergeant, I would get the daily morning reports. It is the significant activity for all units in a 24-hour period. I started noticing that patrol deputies were going to certain locations at least 3 or 4 times during a 24-hour period. And that was a red flag.
Former deputies, including Starnes, have filed several lawsuits against Sheriff Naco and his department. Sheriff Naco denies the claims and has moved to dismiss them. In Starnes' case, he says he was personally retaliated against for speaking out against ILP, among other issues.
I had a problem with it because even if the person was doing multiple crimes, why would we keep going back over and over again, over and over and over again?
Were they going back with warrants?
No. No, it's knocking on the doors.
A lot of these tactics is being labeled as harassment. Do you agree with that assessment?
Yes, it is. And it's sad because I do believe that intelligence-led policing can be beneficial work, but the way it's happened there, no, it's harassment. It's egregious. It's disgusting.
Things that I remember most about this place is being in jail for nothing. Sitting at this light waiting, being on the phone with my daughters, hearing them scream and cry that there's somebody banging on the windows and doors and it's the police.
This is the grass they said you kept uncut?
This is it. Yeah, this is it. And that's what they are getting you for. Literally, oh yeah, there's some overgrown grass.
What would justice look like for you at this point?
I mean, I'd like my name cleared. I'd like my son's name cleared. I fought hard for what little bit I have. You know, I mean, tangible items. Now, your character, how do you get that innocent back? That character is what follows you forever.